Ji-yu clutches her injured arm. The pain, sharp, but ignorable, in the face of what stands before her. Big Judy moves with uncanny precision, his awareness heightened, his physical capabilities pushed to the limit. Clear signs of a yellow-level adept. It's unusual for someone of that rank to roam unsupervised, yet, instead of fear, Ji-yu feels a thrill spark within her. The prospect of battling a yellow level without interference from their masters excites her. She shifts into her battle stance, her mind racing. Encounters like this are rare due to the tight regulations enforced by headquarters, and she refuses to let this opportunity slip through her fingers. In the blink of an eye, she vanishes, her body blurring as she uses flash steps to dance around the battlefield. Her movements grow more erratic, her speed fluctuating unpredictably, in an effort to keep even a skilled opponent from locking onto her trajectory. With sudden aggression, she closes in, activating a skill known as Nape Bite. Big Judy, however, remains unfazed. As Ji-yu approaches from behind, something unnatural stirs within him. His back contorts grotesquely, transforming into a monstrous maw that clamps down on her arm. A cry of pain escapes her as the sharp teeth sink in. Judy barely reacts, calmly acknowledging the beast that guards him. An extension of himself that allows him to focus on his one true joy: eating.
Yummy.
With a slow, almost lazy motion, he drives a fist into Ji-yu, paws, sending her crashing into the ground. Before she can recover, Judy lunges. Another maw emerges from his abdomen, snapping at her once more. Teeth sink into her flesh, and as he follows up with a brutal punch intended to finish her off, Ji-yu twists away at the last moment, his blow landing heavily into the earth. This near miss shifts something in Judy's expression. He begins to understand Ji-yu is no ordinary opponent. Ji-yu quickly analyzes the strange, autonomous behavior of the maw sprouting from the villain's body. They act with a will of their own, guarding Big Judy while simultaneously launching attacks against her. No matter how swift or precise her strikes are, they fail to land effectively. The realization hits her. This is what one would call absolute defense. Though the odds are against her, Ji-yu doesn't back down. She knows she can't defeat him, at least not now. But that doesn't stop her from entering full battle mode. She's just about to unleash her all when a sudden voice cuts through the tension. Dae-young appears, declaring that he's done what was asked. To Ji-yu's shock, he has stabbed Gangchi, fulfilling the conditions set by Big Judy. In return, Dae-young pleads for the release of himself and his sister. Ji-yu freezes as the weight of his words sink in. Her eyes widen in disbelief. Fury rises in her chest. But before she can react, Dae-young grabs her arm and pulls her away. They flee, leaving Gangchi behind with the monster. Ji-yu struggles, demanding to be let go, but Dae-young refuses. He insists that he struck a deal, offering up Gangchi in exchange for their freedom. He begs her to believe in his situation, his decision, as they keep running. But Ji-yu has had enough. She lashes out with a sharp kick, sending Dae-young crashing to the ground. Her voice is filled with scorn as she stands over him, condemning his naivety, being jobless. She could have accepted, but throwing away his humanity. That she cannot forgive. In a flash, Big Judy materializes behind Ji-yu. She senses the danger a moment too late. His fist slams into her face. Damn. And she's sent hurtling into the ground with bone-jarring force. Without missing a beat, Big Judy turns his attention to Dae-young. There's a flicker of amusement in his expression as he notes how promising the moment had been until Dae-young ruined it. The words sink into Dae-young slowly, disbelief washing over him. He stammers, shocked, clinging to the deal they supposedly made, the one where neither he nor Ji-yu would be harmed. But Big Judy only laughs. The sound maniac and cruel. Dae-young panics, turning to flee, his voice rising in desperation as he pleads for help. His escape is short-lived. A trash locker slams into his path with brutal precision, sending him sprawling on the floor. Big Judy stands over him, disdain heavy in his voice. He labels Dae-young a cliché, a man in his mid-30s, unemployed, bitter at the world, and devoid of any real future. Damn, he really attacking this man in a personal level. A pathetic figure who clings to shallow hope and misplaces trust the moment the word opportunity is uttered. As Dae-young begins to crawl, his body trembling, Big Judy mocks him further. He recounts the choices Dae-young made, choosing to stab Gangchi, choosing to believe the villain, choosing to pull Ji-yu away. Every step, every decision was his own. The weight of the consequences falls squarely on Dae-young's shoulders, and Big Judy declares him a killer by choice. Now, he intends to end it. But just as he prepares to strike, Gangchi, previously slumped in his grasp, suddenly breaks free. His fist connects with Big Judy, forcing the villain to steady himself. Whoa. Shock flickers across Big Judy's face before it twists into rage. His voice booms with fury, denouncing Gangchi as nothing more than trash and vowing to make him regret ever resisting. But Gangchi stands firm, bloodied and bruised, yet unyielding, signs of a real nigga. He meets Big Judy's glare head on. There's no fear in his eyes as he lunges forward, declaring his identity through action, not words. He sees himself not as trash, but as a hero. The punch, however, misses. Womp womp. Big Judy's response is immediate and punishing. His counterattack lands cleanly on Gangchi. While Gangchi lies in the hospital bed, Sean Yul learns of his ambitions to become the #1 hero. He considers Gangchi's goal unrealistic, believing there are already many individuals capable of defeating yellow-level villains with ease. He wonders how Gangchi plans to surpass them, but Gangchi insists that sheer strength alone doesn't define the top hero. It's something more. In the present, Gangchi takes a solid punch from Big Judy, but he refuses to go down. He ain't no hoe. He holds his ground, driven by the belief that true greatness lies in resilience. The fighter who never yields is the one who stands at the top. Satoru Gojo, With this conviction, he charges forward, catching Dae-young completely off guard. Though Big Judy expects resistance and knows that one's true strength emerges in moments of extremity, he still finds himself shaken by the force behind Gangchi's strike. He raises his guard, but Gangchi breaks through with a sudden punch to the face, stunning him into inaction. Fear creeps as Big Judy registers the impact, even while thinking that Gangchi's power doesn't surpass Ji-yu's. Yet he cannot deny the looming threat Gangchi poses to Naruraka's future, prompting him to resolve to eliminate that enemy before it grows. Big Judy counters with a fierce assault. Gangchi, undeterred, bites into Big Judy's arm and uses the recoil to launch himself backwards. Sweat beads on Big Judy's brow as Gangchi rushes at him again with unrelenting intensity. Sensing danger, Big Judy releases a massive, fearsome aura, forcing Gangchi to take caution. Good thing it wasn't Piccolo. His aura is unprecedented. Then, with a burst of strength, Big Judy lands a powered punch that sends Gangchi flying. Before Gangchi hits the ground, Big Judy catches up and strikes again on some Dragon Ball type. He unleashes a brutal barrage of punches, declaring internally that Gangchi should remember this overwhelming display of power, a demonstration of might passed down from the Daruka tribe, the elite force of Naruraka. However, Big Judy begins to feel the cost of his overwhelming display. His form starts to deflate from the excessive power output. In that moment of vulnerability, Ji-yu appears and delivers a sudden, powerful kick to the face. Check how these red bottoms look. His face distorts into grotesque maw from the impact, but he remains unaffected and quickly retaliates with a vicious kick of his own, sending Ji-yu crashing into the floor. Despite the attack, Big Judy notes with amusement that Ji-yu still has strength left in her. He moves in to finish her off with a stomp, but before he can, Dae-young intervenes, standing shakily while holding a broken glass shard. Without hesitation, Big Judy severs both of Dae-young's hands, drawing a cry of agony from him. He mocks Dae-young, suggesting that courage alone changes nothing, that he's just a lifelong loser clinging to delusions, like having hands since he removed them. As Dae-young collapses on his knees, Big Judy tells him that this is the perfect and final position for someone like him. Pause. He declares his intent to kill both Dae-young and his sister, already aware of Ji-yu preparing to charge again. But just as Big Judy initiates his next move, Dae-young lunges forward and clings at his waist, halting his momentum. His handless clench, fully aware of his failures and self-perceived worthlessness as a man in his mid-30s. Why do I feel like this is a self-attack? Who never amounted to much. Dae-young still refuses to die as a coward. He holds on tightly and yells to his sister to grab Big Judy's left arm and pull it upward. Ji-yu responds without hesitation, using every ounce of strength to comply. Big Judy, momentarily caught off guard, struggles to process what's happening. At that critical moment, Gangchi charges in, his right fist surging with raw energy. With a thunderous wave, he launches his punch straight at Big Judy. As Tani observes Dae-young's vitals dropping rapidly, she instructs the medical staff to administer an additional 500 milligrams of apoptoxin. I have no idea what that is, but he getting that. Assessing the critical condition, Pung approaches her and inquires about Dae-young's status. Tani explains that 2 days prior, she had already revitalized Dae-young's cells, and now his cellular regeneration rate is declining sharply. Complicating matters further, she has discovered a deep knife wound on his left palm. At present, she is attempting to restore both Dae-young's severed hands simultaneously, a process that proves to be immensely demanding. Meanwhile, it had been Dae-young who willingly threw himself into harm's way, using himself as bait to distract the beast, hoping to create an opening for an attack on Judy. However, as Pung witnesses the reckless move, he internally judges it to be the worst tactics he's ever seen. This guy's trash. Even so, he quietly urges Dae-young to survive, recognizing the desperation behind the act. In that moment, Dae-young's eyes flutter open, blurred and barely conscious. All he can make out is the image of someone smiling before him. Though he doesn't register the face clearly, he realizes it's Pung. The warmth of the smile hits him with the weight of his reality. The overwhelming helplessness sinks in, and tears begin to flow. Elsewhere, Judy contemplates his escape, assuming Dae-young is down for good. But just as he prepares to move, Pung steps in front of him, confronting him directly. He declares that if the heroes truly fought with their lives on the line, then they should have fallen with honor, implying that Judy's attempt to flee shows nothing but cowardice and a complete lack of respect. Judy remains unfazed by Pung's words and coldly reveals that he has already planted a bomb in a 2-story apartment within the brown building nearby. He mentions a mother and son still inside, unaware of their imminent fate, and mockingly urges Pung to hurry to save them. But to Judy's surprise, Pung doesn't move. He don't care about that. Moments later, the building erupts in flames, the explosion shaking the surroundings. Judy, seemingly taken aback, begins blaming Pung for the deaths of the innocent occupants. Throughout Judy's outbursts, Pung stays silent, as a real nigga should. Instead of responding, he pulls out a small device and presses a button. Judy immediately screams in agony, writhing as pain shoots through him. He pleads with Pung to stop the torture, but Pung remains unmoved, as a real nigga should. He calmly reminds Judy that it was his own actions, his own cruelty, that led to the deaths, and for that, he must face the consequences. As the explosion settles, Tani rushes over, asking Pung if he's alright. Rather than answer her directly, he asks her to repeat what he told her earlier. Tani recounts that he had informed her beforehand that the residents of the brown building had already evacuated and taken cover before the detonation. Any injuries were limited and registered through the monitoring system. She adds that an intern from the 4th Division had also been secured by a division engineer. However, Tani notes that this marks the first time a great yellow threat is revealed this late into a conflict. She voices her concern that if the delay had been any longer, the outcome could have been catastrophic. She then questioned why the craft card hasn't yet been activated. Pung responds that it's not a matter of inactivity, it's that he deliberately chose not to activate it. If he wanted, he could have easily pretended otherwise. Just then, Warren arrives at the scene, prompting Tani's surprise. She immediately asks why he came all the way out. Warren responds and explains that upon hearing about the sudden appearance of a high-rank and mysterious figure whose craft had not been activated, he felt compelled to intervene, knowing how dangerous the situation could become. He tells Pung that he has already taken the surrounding area into account and asks Pung to keep watch, affirming that they are still a team. Later, Pung meets Shon-Yul in private and tells him about a secret investigation he wants to conduct. He hands over a photograph, but Shon-Yul doesn't immediately understand what it means. Still, knowing that someone trusted by Pung must have given him the photo, Shon-Yul begins to see the bigger picture. He reflects that the idea of someone enduring 12 years of diplomatic relations with mankind, someone suppressed during an age of peace, and thinks of it as kind of a silent revelation. What doesn't it think about? They both consider how the craft system, which acts as a peacekeeping mechanism designed to detect uncontrolled monsters in advance, failed to identify the recent threat. That alone troubles Shon-Yul. He wonders if the monster that appeared might actually be of a class higher than grade yellow. Pung agrees, saying that that's why he wants to learn more about the hairy coward. Shave that nigga then. He points out that the enemy isn't making hasty moves, which only makes him more cautious. When Shon-Yul asks why Pung wants to investigate in secret, Pung tells him to check the back of the photo. Shon-Yul flips it over and sees a single word written, Utopia. The moment Shon-Yul sees it, he connects the name of the Association of Humanity. Pung confirms his suspicion and explains that Utopia was a small company just about 3 years ago, but now it ranks among the top 2 in the market. Since then, the Association of Humanity has heavily invested in it. He also adds that the same association supports the hero division with capital. To Pung, the whole situation feels too well connected, too suspicious. He wants to find out what's truly going on. Shon-Yul agrees to help, promising to support Pung in his own way while keeping the investigation completely secret. Victoria's secret. Sorry. Just then, Tani and Gangchi walk in. Pung takes the opportunity to point out that Gangchi's recovery rate is much faster than normal. He asks Shon-Yul to take note of it. Shon-Yul turns to Gangchi and asks if he's the intern he's heard about. Gangchi nods in response. Then, Pung mentions that only 1 month remains. Shon-Yul doesn't understand at first, until Pung clarifies that he's talking about the hero level camp. Shon-Yul is stunned when Pung adds that this time, the 1st Division will also be participating. The idea of sending an intern with less than 3 days of experience to a camp of that magnitude seems outrageous to Shon-Yul, but he senses that Pung has his reasons, ones he isn't ready to share. So without pressing further, Shon-Yul keeps his thoughts to himself. Pung then faces Gangchi and tells him that he's going to use the 1 month remaining to train him before the camp begins. He makes it clear that if Gangchi can't handle the basics, he still has a chance to prove in some other way that he deserves to be called a hero. Gangchi, however, doesn't fully understand what Pung means by the camp. He stands quietly, watching Pung speak to him, confused but attentive. Everything operates on a grading system, including the classification of heroes. Treatment and opportunities vary greatly depending on one's grade, and the gap between them can be massive. These grades are reflected through craft cards, colored cards that determine the types of jobs assigned based on a hero's rank. Craft cards are divided into categories: yellow, orange, and red, signifying the master class, often referred to as the octagon, which is the highest and most revered tier. The gap between the octagon and the rest is vast, so wide that it's considered unbridgeable. Heroes below this rank are treated as belonging to a completely different world. The next category includes the navy, blue, and green cards, representing full-time employees, heroes with stable responsibilities, but clearly below the octagon tier. Lastly, there's the purple craft card, reserved for contracted interns, those who are still under evaluation and have yet to earn a permanent spot. They're newbies. A month earlier, a car passes near Daewol Yeong. Inside is Seok-jin, an intern from the hero's 2nd Division. He's determined to reach max level before challenging the Green Dragon King on hard mode. Pause. Though he's unsure if there will be a support center once he gets there. Beside him is Soo-jun, another intern from the same division. When Seok-jun notices Soo-jun dozing off in the seat, he smacks him on the head to wake him up. Once a year, 2 interns are selected from each division of heroes. At the 3rd Division headquarters, Their leader, Seok Ji-woon, stands before the interns and other heroes. He delivers a speech explaining that the earth is a silent being, one that lies beneath their feet and watches over all life. He calls them noble brothers who carry on Earth's pride, urging them to never lose that pride to anyone, no matter the circumstance. In the third division, the two selected interns are Ho-seong and So-seong. They are both set to attend the upcoming grade camp, where their qualifications will be evaluated to determine whether they are fit to become full-time employees. Over at the fourth division, the chosen interns are two young women, Ji-yu and Kyeon-hee. Like the others, they are also preparing for the same hero leveling camp. Meanwhile, the first division's intern, Gangchi, along with his master Pung, are stuck in traffic, and Pung is visibly irritated by the delay. As would I. At the campgrounds, a man is seen speaking with the team leader of the camp, Anna, discussing the interns who will be representing each division. Even Anna is curious about which of them will ultimately qualify for employment, given the competitive nature of the camp. The man explains that if any division ends up lacking participants, headquarters has a protocol to fill the gap. This time, they're sending in a model T-17, a robotic participant, to ensure full representation across all divisions. As Anna prepares to leave, she suddenly remembers to ask about the first division's participants, noting that they still haven't arrived. The man informs her that they are running late. When she asks whether a specific arrival time was announced, he confirms that it was. Now, 20 minutes past the scheduled time, Anna becomes visibly annoyed. She asks whether he had tried to contact them, and he replies that he's been calling for the past 10 minutes. But no one is picking up. Anna's frustration deepens, and she begins to question why the first division would even bother joining the camp if they weren't going to take it seriously or show up on time. The man asks Anna what they should do, whether they should push back the start time for the first division's arrival. I don't know. But Anna immediately rejects the idea. She insists that they must not delay the camp for anyone, making it clear she won't forgive any violations of the rules, cause she ain't on that However, she gives them one last chance. They can arrive right at the test's official start time, 1 p.m., 1300 for you military brats. If they're late even then, they will automatically be disqualified. Meanwhile, the interns from each division are already seated, but the seat reserved for the first division's intern remains empty. At that moment, Soo-jun is seen massaging Seok-jin's shoulders because Seok-jin looks tired. Seok-jin praises Soo-jun's skills, saying he's really good at massaging. Then Seok-jin notices that the 4th division interns are both ladies, which disappoints him at first, though he admits he likes the second lady, Kyeon-hee's figure. When he looks at the 3rd division's interns, he thinks they look like they might be used to hard physical labor, maybe from working part-time in a village. Kyeon-hee grows annoyed with Seok-jin's non-stop talking and finally orders him to see in silencio, I think it is. He orders him to shut up. Seok-jin quickly apologizes for bothering her, but still compliments her, saying she looks pretty even when she's angry. That boy's a masochist. That just infuriates Ji-yu, the other 4th division intern, who starts yelling at Seok-jin. Kyeon-hee has to step in and tell Ji-yu to stop fighting, reminding her that any physical altercation in the camp could lead to immediate disqualification. She doesn't want Ji-yu to lose the chance because of that. Kyeon-hee explains that it's Seok-jin's fault for provoking them, so they should be the ones to hold their tempers. She manages to calm Ji-yu down. By then, Soo-jun has stopped massaging Seok-jin, putting them hands back to himself. Noticing this, Seok-jin asks why he stopped. Put them hands back up there for me, daddy. Soo-jun says he didn't mean to stop intentionally. He just didn't want to interrupt Seok-jin while he was talking. Seok-jin responds by dragging Soo-jun back to his side, telling him to always stay behind him during the camp. Soo-jun agrees without argument because he's weak. Seok-jun's thoughts then turn to empty seat meant for the 1st division intern. He doesn't know who it is. The 3rd division interns also wonder who is missing. They know the 1st division has never participated in the camp before, So this new development raises some concerns among the participants. Kyun-hee thinks the first division must be very relaxed or careless not to have arrived on time. The first and second gates, known to be the strongest among the 8 signs, are said to be protected by the first division. Yet, the first division has never had any participants in the camp since it began. The reasons behind this is unclear, but rumors say they never pick anyone weaker than themselves. So for them to send someone this time shows their intern must be insanely skilled off that reel. Not long after, Gangchi arrives, accompanied by a giant man acting as his bodyguard. At first, Seokjun assumes that the giant man is the first division's participant until the giant man directs Gangchi to his seat and then bids him goodbye. The ultimate okie-doke. Everyone in the room is shocked. None expected such a small boy to represent the entire first division. As Gangchi walks to his seat, he waves at the interns and greets them warmly, cause he ain't on that hoe. Then they ask to go outside, where a woman introduces herself as Sarin, the HLC training officer in charge of their first quest. She tells them that after observing for some time, she can detect their mental state and notices that most of the participants are very nervous. Weak-ass boy. She says it's as if their souls have left their bodies. Walking closer to Seokjin, she uses him as an example, saying he looks so nervous that he doesn't seem to match his size. Body shaming. At that moment, Seokjin can't help but burst out, asking Sarin how it's possible that a small boy like Gangchi is the participant from the first division. Gangchi, in turn, wonders why Seokjin is so upset, reminding him that he was the one who gave him 90 points earlier, something Seokjin had mistakenly thought was from the giant man. He quickly admits his mistake. Even Ho-seung from the third division is surprised that the only intern from the first division is an ordinary high school student. Grade shaming. So-seung also doesn't understand what's going on with the first division. However, Kyun-hee feels there must be a reason why the first division chose someone like Gangchi. Then Kyun-hee notices that Ji-yu isn't saying anything. She asks if Ji-yu knows Gangchi, but Ji-yu lies, saying she doesn't, denied that man like Peter. She just wants to keep a cool head because, for her, the most important thing right now is her grade. She doesn't want to get involved with Gangchi until the end, since she sees him as a competitor. Low-key hating on that nigga. Seokjin doesn't stop shouting, repeatedly saying that Gangchi is an insult to the camp for representing the first division. He keeps going on like this until Sarin asks everyone to be quiet as she begins to address them about their first quest. Despite her efforts, Seokjin continues insulting the camp and belittling the decision to let Gangchi represent the first division. Even when Sarin tries to stop him, he keeps yelling, "It ain't got nothing to do with you, bro. Why you even mad?" Seeing that Seokjin won't stop, Sarin suddenly jumps on him and pins him down as he falls flat on the floor. Everyone is shocked and amazed at Sarin's skills. She moves so fast that they barely see how she does it. Sarin tells Seokjin that while she can tolerate any expression of emotion, she will not accept acts of defiance against the camp, like the one he's showing now. Seokjin immediately complies. Mommy. Sarin then starts explaining how the first quest will go. She tells them it will be a team match designed to strengthen the bond between them all. She groups Gangchi, Ji-yu, go figure, and Ho-seung onto the same team and calls them Tiger Room Team. She didn't actually roar, but I mean, you hear it in your ears when you read the name Tiger. When Ji-yu realizes she's been placed on the same team as Gangchi, she lets him know she's been trying to avoid contact with him, at least she's honest. But now there's no choice since they're grouped together. Gangchi asks if she has anything to say to him, which makes Ji-yu remember how her brother stabbed him in the back. Still, she doesn't want to admit that, and instead tells Gangchi that if he expects an apology, he won't get one. She says she doesn't even feel any remorse towards him. I don't know why she decided to act that kind of. Anyway, Sarin's group So-seung, Kyun-hee, and her wolf companion into the wolf team. No creativity whatsoever. Meanwhile, Seokjin, Soo-jun, and the robot are put together in the lion team. You heard the roar then too. Seokjin hates this team so much that he threatens to kill any of them if they hinder him during the quest. The tiger team discusses strategies when Seo-sung from the wolf team asks Sarin what their first quest entails. Saren explains that it is a raid speedrun, a journey where multiple heroes defeat mobs of one specific map, with the ultimate goal of taking down the final boss mob. This quest is perfect for showcasing the classic heroic aspect of the past and present. Each of the 3 teams has 3 different doors to choose from, each leading to a different map. The team that defeats the last yellow level mob boss first will be declared the winner. Saren also tells them that the winning team will receive a benefit for the next quest, while the team finishing last will automatically be eliminated. As the quest begins, Seokjin activates his electricity power to shoot at the mobs. Seeing this, Jiyu motivates her team to start as well and tells Gangchi to let her know if he gets tired so she can slow down the pace. Gangchi immediately complains about being tired because his heavy backpack. Hoseong then joins to help them out. At that moment, Saren receives a call from headquarters, thinking it is about lunch. While she is still on the phone, she sees that Wolf Team has already finished their quest. They defeat the yellow level mob boss in just 10 minutes. Saren is shocked because she knows there are only 2 people on that team. She realizes that even an experienced employee or herself would find that almost impossible and starts wondering, are those 2 participants real geniuses? When this information is announced, everyone else is stunned to hear that the Wolf Team has already conquered their quest so quickly. Seokjin feels humiliated to have lost first place to a team he underestimates. His frustration boils over and he takes it out on his teammates. Still, he knows he has to qualify no matter what. In the Tiger team, after hearing that the Wolf team has already won, Hoseong feels incredibly proud of his colleagues' achievements. Jiyu, too, is proud of Kyun-hee's performance. Hoseong suggests to Jiyu that they leave Gangchi behind and rush to the door, fearing that if they stay like this, they won't be able to defeat the final mob boss. But Jiyu insists that Hoseong carry Gangchi instead. Hoseong agrees, though he doesn't fully understand why they need to keep Gangchi with them. He obviously has never met a real nigga. Jiu explains that the final boss is a yellow-grade mob, and she doubts that just the 2 of them could defeat it alone. She also points out that Gangchi is actually very strong, like real nigga strong. And Gangchi is surprised that Jiyu acknowledges his strength. He even asks her how she knows, but she doesn't answer. Instead, she tells him to keep quiet. As they run forward, Jiyu expects to encounter mobs along the way, but to her surprise, there isn't a single normal mob in sight. She wonders why the path is so empty. Meanwhile, Anna is in the control room, watching the interns' records. She's shocked to see that Wolf Team has beaten the previous record of 30 minutes, the first time anyone has done so since HLC was founded. As she continues checking the profiles of the Wolf Team, her secretary enters. Anna begins to inform him about the new record breakers, but he interrupts, saying her attention is urgently needed in the control room because a problem has appeared with the first quest. Anna wonders what kind of problem it could be. Back on the quest, an unknown abnormal mob suddenly appears before the Tiger team. Jiyu, Gangchi, and Hoseong are all dumbfounded, unsure how to react. The mob complains that it's hungry, and threatens to devour them. After waiting for a while, the Tiger team finally starts to attack the mob. Jiyu is the first to confront it, but the mob attacks her fiercely, making it difficult for her to even hold her ground. Hoseong supports her by helping with his own attacks. Gangchi also joins the fight, doing his best to attack the monster and support his teammates. Meanwhile, in the control room, Anna and the assistant notice that one part of the mob's body has escaped. They realize that the physical restrictions of the Esperance-type suit have been broken. The assistant thinks that this must be caused by some kind of system failure. He asks Anna what they should do and suggests stopping the test to prevent further problems. However, Anna strongly refuses to stop the test. The assistant tries to explain that the mobs are classified as yellow, which is the highest rank, and he worries that this might be a problem of fairness or balance. At that moment, Saren enters the room and joins the discussion. She suggests that instead of calling it a problem, they can consider it as a matter of compatibility. Meanwhile, the Lion team faces their own mob. Seokjin uses his electricity power to attack the creature. In the control room, the observers watch closely. They see that the Lion team members have water and electricity powers. Sujun controls water, and Seokjin controls electricity. The boss they are fighting is a grass type. Vaporeon and Jolteon against Leafeon, which is weak against both water and electricity, giving the lion team an advantage in the battle. Surin then asks, y'all know what kind of high school student usually takes a college entrance exam? And then she wonders aloud what those students would do if there was no fairness or balance in the system. This question catches Anna's attention because she understands that the main goal of the camp is to find the best employee among the participants, focusing on both their compatibility and their grades. She's aware that some people tend to disrupt or destroy everything, which makes maintaining fairness important. Meanwhile, Hyun-hee and So-seong have moved to the place where they stop to eat. Hyun-hee carefully feeds some food to her wolf companion, making sure it is well taken care of. At the same time, Anna notices that the number one type being fought by the tiger team is classified as normal, even though it is considered a high-grade mob. She looks closely at the situation and wonders why their attacks don't seem to be more effective against it, which puzzles her. Aren't real niggas supposed to be doing damage with every haymaker? Back in the quest field, the tiger team asks the mob to wait and give them some time to come up with a plan. Surprisingly, the mob agrees to hold on, sort of like my nigga Egris, the Blood Red, or just somebody trying to run a fair ones. You already know what it is. The team finds a spot to sit down and start discussing their strategy. Anna watches this unfold and believes that if the tiger team members cooperate closely and create a detailed plan, they might actually have a chance to win against the lion team. However, Sarn remains doubtful and does not believe that simply joining forces will be enough for them to succeed. After spending some time working together on their strategy, the tiger team finally agrees on how they will fight the mob. They stand up and resume the battle. Ho-seong fights with great effort, but soon he finds himself trapped in midair, unable to move or defend himself. At that moment, he feels a deep sense of regret toward his master because he believes his fighting abilities are not strong enough. By then, the mob has captured Ho-seong and devours him instantly, leaving only Ji-yu and Gangchi to face the creature. Meanwhile, the lion team is still struggling in their own battle. Seok-jin urgently tries to guide Soo-jun on what actions to take next in the fight. Before long, the mob boss manages to get a firm grip on Gangchi as well. Despite being caught, Gangchi tries to request permission to speak to the mob and ask it a question. However, the mob refuses to allow any communication, firmly telling Gangchi to remain silent and making it clear that it will not respond to his inquiries. This leaves Gangchi feeling frustrated but cautious, realizing that the creature is not interested in talking or negotiating. He ain't here for all that gibby-gerb. Meanwhile, over with the lion team, the robot model T-17 finally joins the battle. It activates its combat mode and throws a powerful punch at the mob, momentarily stunning it. This creates the perfect opportunity for Soo-jun to step in and use his water abilities. Soo-jun begins to surround the mob with water. That nigga thirsty, gradually filling the area around it and soaking the creature itself. At this moment, Seok-jin notices Soo-jun's effort and openly praises him, encouraging Soo-jun to keep up the good work. Seok-jin's faith and support boost Soo-jun's confidence, making him feel appreciated and motivated. Sounds like a good thing. Soo-jun does not want to let Seok-jin down, so he continues focusing on holding the mob in place as it becomes drenched and undergoes excessive hydration. Cause that nigga was thirsty, I told you. Soo-jun feels proud and happy, knowing he is contributing meaningfully to the fight. Then, when the mob is fully saturated with water, Seok-jin unleashes the full force of his electric power. He releases a massive burst of electricity, around 100,000 volts, directly into the water-covered mob. The mob violently explodes from the shock, and Soo-jun, caught in the blast, falls to the ground, exhausted but unharmed. That's some strong-ass water. Seok-jin feels a surge of happiness and relief, proud that the lion team has successfully completed the first round of their quest. At the same time, back with Tiger Team, both Gangchi and Ji-yu are stunned to see Ho-seong suddenly emerge alive from inside the mob's mouth. Pause. Ho-seong is holding the mob's jaws open, preventing it from closing or attacking further. Neither Gangchi or Ji-yu had expected Ho-seong to survive being swallowed whole. Pause. And their shock quickly turns to amazement at his surprising resilience and strength of a real nigga. After being swallowed whole by the monster, Ho-seong briefly wonders if he has fallen into some kind of endless abyss, or if this is the end for him. Suddenly, his expression changes from despair to fierce excitement as he catches the strong scent of blood nearby. Fueled by this sudden surge of energy, he violently tears his way out of the monster's insides, with a terrifying ferocity that leaves both Ji-yu and Gangchi completely stunned and shocked beyond relief. Disgusting. Meanwhile, the monster quickly tries to swallow Ho-seong again. But Ho-seong immediately activates a powerful skill called Goblin Punch, followed by the second secret form of the technique, Goblin Fire. This blazing burst of energy, he launches a fiery attack directly at the monster, ultimately defeating it with overwhelming force. You could say he used fire force. Alright, my bad y'all. As Ho-seong picks up his mask, he calmly explains to the others that Goblin Punch is a traditional fighting style passed down through goblin families since ancient times. He reveals that he is the 28th generation descendant of this family, which explains his deep connection to the skill. He admits that the smell of his teammates' healthy blood stirred something uncontrollable inside him. A weakness due to his lack of mastery over his abilities. He apologizes sincerely for his sudden outburst and carefully puts his mask and cloak back on, because he still is a real nigga. Ji-yu reassures him that it is okay and cannot be helped, but asks Ho-seong some questions about his abilities. She mentions that she had heard stories from their master about the 3rd Division, an elite group of people who can channel the spirits of local gods, possessing powers beyond ordinary imagination. As Gangchi also questions Ho-seong, Ji-yu quietly realizes that Ho-seong is someone truly remarkable, a person to remember and take seriously. Soon after, an official announcement echoes through the area, declaring the end of the first test. All contestants are instructed to enter the personal maintenance phase, and then to gather together in the training room in 1 hour for the next stage of the camp. Later, Seok-jin is seen alone in a restroom, quietly talking to himself. Strange. He expresses regret and frustration for possibly making mistakes and accidentally attacking one of his team members during this test. He repeatedly apologizes, promising that if given one more chance, he will earn a gold rank in the next year's camp. Suddenly, an automated voice responds, confirming that Seok-jin will be granted one last opportunity and that his time at the camp is not over yet. Ji-yu watches in surprise as a creature swiftly heals the scrapes on her leg. The creature explains that the wound wasn't deep, so it can heal quickly. Ji-yu learns that this is the being called Altmis, a spirit known for supporting heroes since ancient times. The Altmis says that because this is an era of peace with little to do, many Altmis come to the camp to make a living. Them niggas is broke. Ji-yu is deeply impressed, realizing this is her first time seeing a spirit appear in physical form. One of the Altmis then comments that Ji-yu looks quite pretty, comparing her to someone named Yeon-hee. Ji-yu is not impressed by the remark and shows no reaction, cause she ain't bothered by all the gibby-groot. Nearby, other Altmis express amazement at how pretty Ji-yu is, and the Altmis who made the comment introduces her to others as Yeon-hee among them. That man really trying to get in the back. This angers Ji-yu, who storms off angrily down the hallway. She walks, and she thinks and reflects on how lucky she is that her injuries are only minor scrapes. She thinks that if it hadn't been for Ho-seong's help during that test, things could have ended much worse. Feeling determined, she resolves to become stronger. She recalls a hero figure she admired as a child and hopes that one day she'll reach that level where she can stand honorably beside that figure. Ahead, she spots Gangchi waiting for her. Gangchi admits he is worried. Ji-yu teases him, saying he must be worried because he was useless during the first test. She adds that it is a good thing he showed up because she has something to tell him. Ji-yu takes back her earlier compliment about him being strong, declaring instead that he is weak and should give up on becoming a hero because he does not deserve the title. At that moment, Soo-jun approaches them. He introduces himself and explains that hold on, we ain't gonna go past that. She was talking some mean shit. Anyways, he introduces himself and explains that he is there for treatment because he was hurt during the team's test. Ji-yu replies sharply that it's not really cooperation if he is the only one who got hurt. Soo-jun admits that it was his own fault for getting injured. He also explains that many people misunderstand the situation, thinking Seok-jin caused his injury. Soo-jun also says that Seok-jin speaks rudely and he is not a bad person. Soo-jun explains to them that among the 12th generation of the second decision interns, Seok-jin was the top student and the ace. earning the best grades. He says that Seokjin chose him to be on his team, and if it were not for Seokjin's selection, Soo-jung believes he would not deserve to be at the camp at all. As Ji-yu walks away, she responds sharply, saying she understands why Seokjin chose Soo-jung. She thinks Seokjin must have brainwashed him well. Despite this, Soo-jung admits quietly that he does not truly deserve to be there. He bows respectfully and tells the others to do their best in his place as well. Gangchi immediately disagrees with Soo-jung's self-judgment. He says that no one who tries has the right to give up. Without waiting for a response, Gangchi walks away with Ji-yu, leaving Soo-jung alone with his heavy thoughts as being a hoadnik. Later, all the contestants gather on the training field with their instructor, Sarin. Sarin praises them for their hard work and announces the results of the first round. Team Wolf, who finished in first place, and Team Tiger have advanced to the second round. Unfortunately, Team Lion is eliminated. Soo-jung feels overwhelmed by a flood of emotions and becomes angry at himself for not being able to progress using his own power. He feels that he is always lacking compared to the others. Silent tears fall as he quietly cries to himself like a hoadnik. Seeing this, Seokjin places a hand gently on Soo-jung's shoulder. He tells Soo-jung not to be disappointed and reminds him that he truly did everything he could, which is what really matters. Wow, such a wholesome moment. Seokjin smiles encouragingly at Soo-jung. Sarin then informs everyone that Team Tiger finished the challenge with a time of 3 hours, 27 minutes, and 6 seconds, while Team Lion finished just slightly behind with a time of 3 hours, 27 minutes, and 10 seconds. The difference between the two teams is very small, only a few seconds. Because of this narrow margin, the camp organizers decide to offer Team Lion a rare second chance to stay in the camp and continue competing. Soo-jung feels very excited and hopeful about this unexpected opportunity. However, in the next moment, Seokjin suddenly activates his lightning power and strikes Soo-jung, showing his strength right there on the spot. He announces that the only member of the Team Lion will be saved through a consolation match. The decision about who will be saved will be made by the team members themselves. Seokjin's confident expression makes it clear that he believes he is the one who will automatically pass and continue on to the camp. Sarin supports this decision, agreeing that the final winner of the consolation match is likely to be Seokjin. She laughs excitedly, saying there is no way he could be eliminated. Meanwhile, Ji-yu, feeling frustrated and angry at Seokjin's arrogance, curses him quietly. Kyeon-hee quickly tells her to keep her emotions under control because causing trouble would not help anyone. Ji-yu agrees reluctantly and holds back her anger. At the same time, real nigga Gangchi steps forward and positions himself directly in front of Seokjin, giving him a fierce and challenging glare, ready to oppose him if necessary. Finally, Sarin announces the next event, which is called PvP, meaning player versus player. It should have been RNVRN, which is real nigga versus real nigga. This next test will be a one-on-one fight where contestants will face each other individually in combat. You know y'all saw it coming. Ji watches Gangchi intently, trying to figure out his next move. Without warning, Gangchi suddenly launches a powerful punch aimed at Seokjin. Seokjin initially smirks, clearly underestimating the attack, assuming it would be easy to handle. However, his expression quickly changes to one of alarm as the sheer intensity of an intimidating aura of Gangchi's punch become apparent. And I don't mean someone with kids. I mean like he understands it. Reacting swiftly, Seokjin counters with a lightning fast punch of his own. At the last possible moment, Ji-yu dives forward, managing to push Gangchi away from the oncoming attack just in time, preventing serious harm. She then steps forward, confronting Seokjin with a strong warning that his aggressive actions could get him kicked out of the competition. Seokjin, now visibly riled up by Ji-yu's interference, matches her intensity, clearly annoyed by her getting involved in his fight. Before the situation escalates further, Sarin raises her voice sharply, ordering them to stop immediately. She issues a stern warning that if their behavior worsens, she will not hesitate to expel them on the spot. Sarin demands that everyone return to their designated places, to which Seokjin scoffs dismissively, but ultimately complies, backing down. Shortly thereafter, an announcement declares that round 2 will commence in 10 minutes. Ain't no waiting. We about to get this thing popping. Meanwhile, Kyeon-hee is seen closing her eyes and calmly turning her face towards Ji-yu. Sensing the tension, Ji-yu begins to apologize for her actions. Hyun-hee reassures her that she has not expressed any disapproval. Though Ji-yu admits that she was wrong to intervene so impulsively, Hyun-hee acknowledges the seriousness of Seok-jun's attack and points out that Gangchi could have suffered severe injuries or even death if Ji-yu hadn't stepped in. Hyun-hee then reminds Ji-yu that harboring any affection for Gangchi is a liability, especially since they are now all competitors. She advises Ji-yu to let go of any personal attachments, kind of like what happened with Avatar, emphasizing that such weakness could jeopardize her performance. Ji-yu listens carefully and promises not to let emotions get in the way of moving forward. It is revealed that Gangchi and Seok-jin are matched against each other in the first fight of the round. Who didn't see that coming? Put in the comments if you did. Which excites Seok-jin greatly, as he anticipates fewer distractions without Ji-yu interfering. In the background, a young boy sits astride a massive bear. The boy is Yang Ho-yi, a training instructor at the hero level in camp. Expressing his boredom with the delay, he urges everyone to hurry, reminding them that this round is PvP. Niggas gotta get that work. Gangchi turns his attention to Yang Ho-yi with genuine curiosity, asking what exactly PvP means. Clearly surprised that he doesn't already know about it. He is dumb. Ho-yi's eyebrows lift in a mild astonishment, finding it unusual that someone of Gangchi's experience is unfamiliar with such a fundamental concept. Taking a moment to explain, Ho-yi begins by outlining the basics. PvP, or player versus player, is a competitive format that participants face off against each other using any combination of weapons, skills, or tactics at their disposal. The duel continues until one of the competitors becomes incapacitated or voluntarily withdraws, ending the match. However, unlike the traditional PvP rules Gangchi might have expected, Ho-yi adds that this particular competition incorporates a unique twist, a special rule known as reward PvP. In this variant, the stakes are raised significantly because the winner not only claims victory, but also gains a tangible reward: the stats of the defeated opponent. These stats, which represent a competitor's strength, skill, or abilities, can be transferred into spoils of battle. Moreover, the quantity or proportion of stats transferred can be adjusted depending on the wager set before the match, making the competition not just a test of skill, but also a strategic gamble. Ho-yi then turns his attention to the two contestants, asking them to declare how much they intend to wager on the outcome of their upcoming fight. Seok-jin, brimming with confidence, boldly announces that he will bet all the stats he has accumulated so far, effectively putting everything he's built on the line. With a smug grin, he taunts Gangchi, claiming that his own stats far exceed Gangchi's capabilities, implying that Gangchi is outmatched and should instead wager some money to compensate for the disparity. Ho-yi nods knowingly, acknowledging that in the real world, stats are often equivalent to money, a universal currency of value. He then turns to Gangchi, awaiting his response, and as a real nigga, Gangchi remains composed and resolute, firmly declaring that he will not accept any rewards for himself. Instead, he intends to give all the stats he might gain to Soo-jun, someone he clearly cares more about than himself. Seok-jin burst out laughing loudly, mocking Gangchi's unexpected response, scoffing at what he perceives as naive idealism. He challenges Gangchi to be realistic, insinuating that such a stance is foolish in a competition of this nature. However, Gangchi calmly explains his reasoning. By refusing to keep the stats, Seok-jin will inevitably have to return to him eventually, a prospect Gangchi finds somewhat distasteful. Surprisingly, Seok-jin nods in agreement, admitting that he is tired of the back and forth with Gangchi. He don't want no more of that gabagool. Without another word, Seok-jin removes his yellow jacket, revealing the advanced suit beneath. From his bodysuit, a series of high-tech equipment devices spring forth, signaling that he is preparing to engage at full capacity. A system interface suddenly appears before him, displaying that he is activating 100% of the suit's power. His entire body becomes encased in a full armor suit, glowing with technological energy. Seok-jin announces that with this level of power, he intends to defeat Gangchi swiftly and decisively. Watching this transformation, Ho-seong and So-seong exchange glances and immediately recognize the technology in use. It must be a brain technique. The third division, known as Brain, consists of heroes who wield advanced technology called Volt Light. This faction is renowned for their specific scientific prowess and cutting-edge gear, and Seokjin's technology is considered to surpass even the highest capabilities among existing heroes. Intrigued and somewhat concerned, Seokjeong turns to Hoseong and asks for his opinion on whether Gangchi stands any chance against Seokjin's overwhelming technological advantage. Hoseong, however, remains unfazed and simply replies that it's time to prepare for the upcoming match. Ji-yu watches the match intently, her eyes fixed on Seokjin as he steps forward, fully powered up. The energy radiating from him is unlike anything she's felt before, an overwhelming, almost tangible force that sends a chill down her spine. She wonders silently what Gangchi's response will be to such an intimidating display of power, but he's a real nigga, so nobody gotta worry about it. Seokjin, meanwhile, feels an intense surge of confidence coursing through his body. The full armor suit amplifying his strength to unprecedented levels. In his mind, Gangchi is already defeated. He's certain that no one could withstand the might he now wields. However, Kyun-hee, observing the scene with more discerning eye, comments that Seokjin's decision to unleash his full power so early is unusual, almost suspicious. She speculates about his motivations, recognizing that something about Gangchi's earlier punch left Seokjin unsettled. That punch had carried a weight, a presence that felt like a brush with death itself. Despite this, Seokjin brushes off the unease as mere overthinking. He firmly believes that no competitor could possibly overcome the strength granted by his full armor suit, and he resolves to end the fight quickly with a single decisive strike. Yang Ho-yi signals the start of the match, and almost instantaneously, Seokjin launches a terrifying attack. The air crackles with electricity as he unleashes his signature move, the lightning punch. Pretty bland if you ask me. A devastating blow that sends a bolt of raw lightning surging forward with terrifying force. The sheer power of the attack leaves the other contestants frozen in place, stunned by the overwhelming display, even from a distance. Ji-yu herself feels a surge of anxiety wash over her. The intensity of the attack makes her worry deeply about Gangchi's safety, cause you know she love that nigga. Meanwhile, on the upper floor, Poon watches the unfolding battle with a critical eye. He mutters that if Gangchi had faltered again, he would not hesitate to kill him outright. Yet this time, Gangchi appears to have regained his composure and focus, signaling that he is no longer the reckless fighter he once was. He is now a real nigga. Suddenly, Seokjin's armored arm is shattered in an instant by a brilliant golden light rapidly closing in on him. The next moment, Gangchi's punch lands with explosive force, smashing through the full armor suit and reducing it to broken shards scattered across the battlefield by a real nigga. On a large screen, a female host named Luna appears, introducing herself as the charismatic presenter of the world's biggest event, Hero vs. Robot. Her energetic presence fills the room as she seamlessly transitions into an interview with the famed hero known as Thunderbolt Man. Thunderbolt Man? Luna asks him for his thoughts on the widespread predictions that Robot T4 is a formidable contender, one not to be underestimated. Thunderbolt Man responds with a thoughtful smile, acknowledging that with the rapid advancement in science and technology, it's conceivable that one day robots could become protectors of society. However, he quickly adds with a confident laugh that such a future is not yet upon them. No, not today. Seokjin is seen sitting alone, watching this broadcast intently on his television. His admiration for Thunderbolt Man is evident in the way his eyes light up and his expression softens with respect. But as the program unfolds, Seokjin's face suddenly shifts from admiration to shock and disbelief. On the screen, his idol is swiftly defeated by Robot T-4, and the match is barely underway. The hero falls much sooner than anyone anticipated, shaking the foundations of the contest's expectations. Yet almost immediately, Seokjin's shock melts away and is replaced by an excited, almost exhilarated laugh, as if this surprising turn of events has only fueled his competitive spirit. Returning to the present moment on the battlefield, Gangchi's powerful punch has shattered Seokjin's full armor suit into countless fragments as it makes direct contact with his body. The impact sends Seokjin hurling through the air, crashing heavily onto the ground. As he lies there, dazed but not defeated, His mind races with determination. Seokjin reflects bitterly that advanced science is supposed to dominate this era, and he is the very embodiment of that technological supremacy. Losing to Gangchi is not an option he can entertain. Summoning his remaining strength, Seokjin immediately calls out to his system interface. The system responds with a prompt, asking how many volts of power he wishes to deploy. Without hesitation, Seokjin demands the maximum possible output. In response, a massive lightning dragon materializes, crackling with immense energy and swirling around him like a storm unleashed. The system interface flashes an alert, confirming that Seokjin is now utilizing 100% of the suit's full power. With a dragon-shaped torrent of lightning surging forth, Seokjin launches a devastating assault aimed directly at Gangchi. Observing the scene, Pung comments dryly that the 2nd Division suit is impressive in its design and capabilities, but he remains unimpressed overall, clearly unconvinced that such technology alone can secure victory. Despite the electrifying assault, Gangchi remains resolute. His punch strikes true, connecting solidly with Seokjin's body as he charges through the storm of lightning, using real nigga force. The force of Gangchi's blow, sends Seokjin crashing to the ground. It quickly becomes clear that Seokjin isn't the only one equipped with the high-tech suit. Beneath Gangchi's shirt, a glimpse of armor reveals that he, too, is donning advanced battle gear. At that moment, the scene shifts to the appearance of Thunderbolt Man himself, who arrives with his trademark cheerful demeanor, known as the Raikiri Knight. He holds the prestigious rank of 2nd out of the 8 heroes in the 2nd Division. Approaching Pung with a friendly greeting, he asks how he's been, only to be met with a pointed question from Pung. The fuck is you over here for after losing to a robot? Unfazed, Thunderbolt Man shamelessly asserts that there's no rule preventing a robot from becoming a master, so he still considers himself the master of his craft. Yet, moments later, he can be seen sulking quietly, lamenting the fact that nobody in the 2nd Division listens to him anymore. Not even his loyal pet dog, Bobby. Bobby don't need to listen to that nigga though. Shaking off his momentary gloom, Thunderbolt Man brightens and shifts his conversation back to the present fight. He expresses genuine amazement at Gangchi's performance, struggling to believe that someone who joined the company less than a month ago could wield such formidable power. Curiously, he asks Pung what kind of training Gangchi has undergone during the short time. Pung's response is a sinister laugh, revealing that the key was anger management. During training sessions, Pung would relentlessly beat the Kupferspatz out of Gangchi while hurling cruel insults about his parents, deliberately provoking him. This pushed Gangchi to a boiling point, enabling him to unleash a devastating punch. However, Pung was able to stop it with just one palm, explaining that anger was the trigger that unlocked Gangchi's true power. He advised Gangchi to become accustomed to that feeling, because mastering it will ultimately make him stronger. Shout out to Bruce Banner. Back in the arena, Seokjin is visibly shaken, struggling to come to terms with the fact that his pinnacle of scientific power was overcome by a real nigga, Gangchi. And Gangchi calmly agrees that Seokjin is strong, but insists that he himself is stronger. With resolute focus, Gangchi delivers a final decisive blow, a powerful uppercut known as the Max Upper, which sends Seokjin crashing heavily to the floor. At that moment, Hoyi's voice cuts through the tension, announcing the official end of the match and declaring Gangchi the winner. Hoseong stands in stunned silence, having initially believed that Gangchi to be weak. Even Kyun-hee is taken aback by the sheer strength Gangchi displayed, while Ji-Yu's shock eclipses them all, cause that's the nigga she love. Ji-Yu's mind races back to a recent memory, recalling the harsh words she had spoken to Gangchi, telling him he was weak and undeserving of the title of a hero. Frustrated with herself for being so wrong and fooled by her own prejudices, she rises swiftly from her seat and leaps into the arena. Officials begin escorting Gangchi away, but Ji-Yu's gaze falls on his back. She is struck with a deep, almost reverent recognition. His silhouette, his posture, it all resembles the heroic figure she remembers from her past. The sight leaves her momentarily stunned, caught between disbelief and awe. Gangchi looks back at her and approaches, asking what is wrong. Ji-Yu questions why he pretended to be weak before. Gangchi then wonders if she was worried about him, which causes her to get angry and punch him. Hoyi immediately snaps at her to stop or risk disqualification. Meanwhile, Thunderbolt Man shows strong emotion upon seeing that his division, Seokjin, has lost. Poon glances at Thunderbolt Man, expressing disgust at his recent behavior. Thunderbolt Man claims that he doesn't understand what is happening. At the moment, Yo Anna approaches and urges them to follow her due to an urgent problem. The maintenance team discusses heading to Naruraka, but the officials inform them that the first round is over. The workers begin to leave, hoping that the walls have not sustained too much damage. Meanwhile, the official who had been behind suddenly shows a brief figure warp, but quickly returns to normal. One of the workers notices this, but remarks that he must be tired, to which the official encourages him to hang in there a little longer. Oyi steps forward and announces the next match, Kyeon-hee versus Ho-seong. He casually asks the crowd what they want to bet on, reminding everyone that Kyeon-hee can use the benefit she earned from the last test. Ho-seong confidently wagers half of his stats, and Kyeon-hee matches him, claiming she will save her special benefit for a more crucial moment. Ho-seong recalls advice from So-seong, who warned him about Kyeon-hee's overwhelming strength. She uses a powerful, overwhelming ki to dominate her opponents, forcing them into becoming her prey. Because of this, Ho-seong knows he must stay firm and not be pushed back by her initial onslaught. As the match begins, Ho-seong suddenly bulks up, his muscles swelling with power. Let it swell up. Kyeon-hee smirks, commenting that Ho-seong must have heard about her abilities, and admits that this is why she didn't like the first test. Before she can finish speaking, Ho-seong swiftly closes the distance, delivering a punch that creates a massive shockwave. However, that punch ends up missing, as Kyeon-hee suddenly appears behind him, taunting that Ho-seong isn't the only one who's heard rumors about his own strength. Her eyes glow with an intense red pupil as she asks if he likes mountains. Suddenly, Ho-seong finds himself transported to a dense forest surrounded by towering mountains, and he wonders if what he's seeing is some kind of hallucination. Meanwhile, Kyeon-hee warns him to be careful, reminding him that hiking at night can be extremely dangerous. At that moment, Ho-seong feels multiple pairs of glowing crimson eyes watching him, dozens of snakes lurking in the shadows. They launch themselves at him all at once, but Ho-seong quickly activates his power, declaring that if this is truly the mountains, then it's a place familiar to him as well. With a furious flurry of punches, he fights off the snakes, causing them to vanish one by one. Suddenly, Ho-seong hears Kyeon-hee's voice right behind him. He spins around and unleashes all the rapid barrage of punches aimed directly at her. But to his shock, her figure morphs seamlessly into So-seong's. Before he can react further, a massive python emerges from the shadows behind him. The serpent's voice echoes ominously, explaining that the feeling of fear makes a person shrink infinitely when faced with overwhelming beings. As the python coils its immense body tightly around Ho-seong, its head shifts into Kyeon-hee's face, taunting him by asking if he feels that awe of helplessness. Ho-seong, visibly shaken, mutters an apology to his master, confessing that he doubts he can defeat such an opponent as a mere human. Despite his despair, he releases a fierce surge of power, so intense that several seals surrounding him fly off, breaking free from their restraints. The scene shifts to a memory of Ho-seong training beneath a roaring waterfall. He asks his master how he can perfectly coexist with the power of the goblin within him. His master sternly corrects him, explaining that coexistence is impossible. Instead, it's a constant struggle of tug-of-war between control and chaos. If Ho-seong lets his guard down and breaks the fence, restraining the beast inside, the goblin's power will turn against him in fury. The master warns that if Ho-seong doesn't hold the rope tight, the goblin's ki will seize control of his body in less than a minute. Back in the present, Ho-seong stands transformed, his form glowing with terrifying energy. He reminds himself that he has not forgotten his master's instructions. To prevent the goblin from taking over, he must end the fight within 1 minute. Harnessing this terrifying power, he activates a forbidden technique known as Goblin Blinding Blaze. The technique sharpens his senses, allowing him to pinpoint Kyeon-hee's location despite her evasions. With deadly precision, he launches a powerful punch at her. Kyeon-hee counters swiftly with her own skills, and Ho-seong realizes time is running out. He only has about 40 seconds left before the goblin's power will overwhelm him. Knowing he cannot afford to delay any longer, he resolves to finish the battle with a single, decisive punch. Ho-seong gathers the last of his strength and determination, urges everyone to remember that the martial arts he wields is no ordinary skill. It belongs to the Goblin Arts family, a legacy passed down through 28 generations. The power he channels is ancient and formidable, a force few can truly comprehend or withstand. However, before he can elaborate further, Ho-yi abruptly places his hand over Ho-seong's mouth, silencing him. With a firm and authoritative voice, Ho-yi announces that the match is officially over. Ho-seong, exhausted and unable to continue, must concede defeat, and Kyun-hee is declared the victor. Watching the scene unfold, Ji-yu can't help but feel a surge of admiration and awe. For someone as strong and capable of Ho-seong to be overwhelmed so completely from the very beginning speaks volumes about the extraordinary talent and power of her senior, Kyun-hee. Even Ho-yi, the seasoned training officer who has seen countless battles, finds himself stealing involuntary glances at Kyun-hee. The sheer magnitude of her power feels like an immovable mountain, immense, imposing, and somewhat frightening in its overwhelming presence. Keep in mind, with the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. As the tension begins to ease, Kyun-hee releases Ho-seong from the intense illusion that had trapped him. In a moment of frustration and resolve, Ho-seong immediately attempts to launch a punch at her, desperate to reclaim some measure of control. But before his fist can connect, So-seong steps in swiftly and restrains him. Kyun-hee simply smirks, her confidence unshaken. Ho-seong, still trying to understand what happened, asks for an explanation. So-seong calmly informs him that he was utterly overwhelmed by the force of Kyun-hee's ki. His mind was clouded, his senses dulled, and as a result, he was toyed with effortlessly, unable to land even a single hit. The realization weighs heavily on Ho-seong, and he can't help but droop his head in disappointment. The atmosphere shifts as a formal announcement echoes through the arena, proclaiming Kyun-hee as the winner of round 2. I sounded like Mortal Kombat. Round 1, sorry. The crowd is informed that after a short maintenance break, round 3 will commence. The maintenance team busily moves through the venue, repairing and preparing the space. One team member comments on how quickly round 1 and round 2 were completed, expressing surprise at the brisk pace. Ho-yi responds with a pleased smile, expressing his happiness at the efficient progress. However, his attention soon drawn upward, and he notices the upper floor is conspicuously empty. Puzzled, he wonders aloud where everyone could have gone. Meanwhile, in the control room, Yo-Anna, Pung, and Thunderbolt Man stand focused and tense, their eyes fixed on a robot before them.